Hello and welcome back to HTML5 with me, McNerd321. And last week we were looking at CSS, and we're continuing that today. So this should be looking fairly familiar to you, except I've removed the background that made it incredibly difficult to read and switched it for one that's just plain black. Which you can do by, instead of putting URL and then a path to an image, you just put in a color code there. I haven't put in the full hexadecimal string as I should have done. I just did the shorthand version, which is where if all values are the same like that, you've got 8, 8, so both values for red are the same, you could just put 8, but you would then have to do that for all three, so you would have one that was 888 instead of 88, 88, 88. But yeah, today we're moving on to classes within CSS. Now the way you define those is, instead of using just body, which is a thing in HTML, you just put a dot and then any name you want to give me, as I've done there, and then within that define your attributes that you want to give whatever it is we're going to have that class set to in a minute. And you can do that for as many times as you like. Just make sure you don't use the same name twice, otherwise it won't work. Now the difference is, these that are just the li elements or t-foot elements will change all li elements or all t-foot elements, but nothing else. They will only affect those things, but all of them. Whereas classes, you can pick and choose what has it. So say you wanted all of your table footers to be in italic with that colour, apart from one section, you would just give that one section that you wanted to have a different colour the class attribute, and you would set that equal to the name of your class that you wanted it to have. So you saw up there I had one called class 2. You don't need to put the dot down here, you just put the name, whereas up here when you define it you put a dot, then the name you want to give it, and then within there the attributes. So now if I press save, because that is the only table foot element that we had, you will see that the table foot has gone from being like that to having a completely different colour, which is a sort of dark green. But if you had more than one t-foot, so say you had one at the bottom of this table and the one at the bottom of this table, there, and another table with one at the bottom of that, then you could have those two set to default and just change this one to green by using a class. Another example is for li elements, which I will make a couple more of now, so that I can show you sort of what I was trying to explain there, without having to wave my arms around that you can't see pointlessly. There is a couple of the same li elements, and if I refresh, you'll see that they all have the same color attribute from this li definition in our CSS. But if I give them one of them, the class, equal to the name that I chose of any name you want to give me, then it on its own, the third one down, should be, only it out of the li elements will have that colour, which is black, so you won't be able to see it, because it has been overridden. Oops. I forgot to put an E in there. That would explain why I just found out it wasn't working. Great. Right, and as you can see, that text is still there, but it's black, so you can't see it against the background. And only that has been affected by setting that li with the class equal to any name you want to give me, spelt correctly this time. So some attributes won't have effect on all elements, is what I'm trying to say. So if you put a load of attributes in your class in CSS and then wonder why certain things haven't happened, it'll just be because they aren't compatible with the element you've tried to give that class to. But that's a basic overview of classes in CSS and HTML5. And that brings us to the end of the HTML5 series for a little while. I will probably return to it at some point. I know there'll be at least one person in the comments section who is inevitably going to complain. But I will see you guys later.